A hydrocarbon is a class of organic compound which is only composed by hydrogen and carbon atoms and they interact by dispersion force. Hydrocarbons are usually found on natural gas, petroleum and coal. In the real life, the hydrocarbons can be raw materials used to produce plastics, rubbers, explosives and other chemicals. They also are used as fuels which are consumed to produce energy or lubricants such as oil to reduce friction between two surfaces interacting. The structure of a hydrocarbon will depend entirely on the number of hydrocarbons in their bonds. Therefore, there are countless types of structures. For example, there are structures that will have a carbon as its central atom forming bonds that may be single, double, or triple bonds will depend on the number of atoms that the structure will have. Thanks to the visual representation given in the Lewis types of structures, we are able to identify the number of atoms, bonds, and forms the molecular structure will have. For example, water is a molecule conformed by one atom of oxygen and two atoms of hydrogen, forming covalent bonds due to the difference in the electronegativity between hydrogen and oxygen being 1.4. The atom of oxygen is more electronegative, so it pulls the less electronegative atoms towards it. As mentioned before, the Lewis structure will show this relation between atoms, hence showing this polarity by having two bonds with hydrogen but two pairs of non-pairing electrons that makes the oxygen more dense and more polar. This polarity will make the molecule have a bent geometrical structure with four groups of electrons, two lone pairs and two bonding pairs, with an angle of minus 109 degrees. One real-life example of this kind of interaction between atoms and its polarity is the molecule of ammonia, which has a similar structure to water but different properties.
Volatility is the ease or speed with which a substance in liquid states evaporates or a substance in gaseous states sublimates, this depending on its boiling points. For example, gasoline, which boils at low temperature, is volatile, while water, which boils at higher temperature, is less volatile or even non-volatile. Volatility of liquids is affected by several factors such as atmospheric pressure, in which liquids are more volatile at higher altitude, which means with less atmospheric pressure. Volatility is also affected by molecule size. Larger molecules are less volatile than smaller molecules, even if they share the same composition and structure. Some compounds are extremely non-volatile, such as water, which is usually due to strong chemical bonds between the molecules. In the case of hydrocarbons, they are very volatile because they have weaker intermolecular forces, so they have very low boiling points. As the number of carbons in the hydrocarbons increase, the boiling point also increases. If the number of atoms increases, so the strength of the intermolecular forces does. Some hydrocarbons exist as gases at room temperature due to their low boiling points. If a hydrocarbon has 5 or more carbon atoms, it's a liquid at room temperature because of the increase of strength in intermolecular forces, such as octane, which is used in gasoline.
Hydrocarbons are also classified into saturated hydrocarbons, also called alkenes, alkenes, and alkynes. These classifications make variations in physical and chemical properties, such as melting points, bonding, and composition. Water, on the other side, has extensive hydrogen bonds, giving it high melting and boiling points. It is an excellent solvent and it can act both as an acid and a base. Hydrocarbons always have covalent bonds. Due to its non-polarity, they are expected to be slightly soluble in water, have a density lower than water, and variable viscosities depending on their temperatures. When hydrocarbons react with other substances, like water, they will have London dispersion forces due to the bond formed by a polar and a non-polar molecule. We will talk about 4 different techniques that can help separate hydrocarbons from water. Emulsion treater vessel. The emulsion enters the vessel near its top and any gas with it is vented. The treater separates the emulsion into water phase and an oil phase, using the fire tubes that increase the temperature, and by this means, water and oil are separated. The distillation process consists of vaporizing the water to leave any inorganic compounds present in it in their solid or liquid phases. Most of the dissolved materials will remain on the bottom of the container if they have higher boiling points than water. If they have a lower boiling point, they will be vaporized alongside water and the separation process will not be effective. The Norsorex APX powder is a special polymer with high affinity for hydrocarbons and is insoluble in water. The polymer in powder form floats on the surface of the sea or fresh water and reacts with the oils or other hydrocarbons within a few minutes, becoming a gel. Within the following 24 hours, the gel becomes solid and can be burned or disposed out to local regulations. Also, some type of bacteria capable of making the gum known as xanthan gum, which has the property of being very viscous, polysaccharide that functions as an effective thickener. Therefore, if mixed with water for the extraction of the petroleum, it results in an efficient and cheap way to clean the contaminated water.
The contamination of the river located in Cadereyta Jimenez will have major social, economical, and environmental negative effects, since population are exposed to the river contamination. Direct skin contact can happen, causing local skin irritation and leading to systemic disease. However, prolonged exposure can lead to tissue breakdown and superficial or partial thickness chemical burns. The habitants around the river say that the water for consumption and for bathing causes diarrhea and skin rashes. Particle residues in the air are damaging fruits and trees as well as the entire ecosystem due to the pollution. Those affected lost their crops, the fish that were their livelihoods of their family are no longer bought since people are afraid to consume them. The hydrocarbons contribute to the greenhouse effects and climate change, deplete the ozone, reduce photosynthetic ability of plants, and increase occurrences of cancer and respiratory disorders in humans. And as if that was not enough, the entity also begins to suffer from water scarcity. People need clean water and healthy environment to live and develop well, but this community does not have it because companies that handle toxic materials such as Pemex are polluting the ecosystem because in Nuevo León there is not an adequate environmental policy and therefore there is no control by the Profepa. As a research team, after analyzing through a scientific chemical point of view, we believe that the impact caused by the oil spill in San Juan River caused by Pemex is a violation against the rights of the community of Cadereyta Jimenez. According to a Mexican Constitution, Article 4, every person has a right to access, disposition, and sanitation of water for personal and domestic consumption by being efficient, healthy, acceptable, and affordable. Likewise, governments are urged internationally by different important organizations like the UN that are constantly trying to ensure that all individuals have the same basic rights, and that includes clean water at any moment. We have been able to conclude that the community of Cadereyta have the right to live in a healthy environment and that the community is under protection of several norms such as the Mexican Constitution and the NOM, which stands for the Mexican Official Standards, which have the purpose to establish the characteristics that processes or services must meet in the way constitute a risk to safety of people or damage human health. We consider that Pemex should face the respective charges for their action based on the NOM and the Mexican Constitution, as well as work in order to solve the situation that represents a danger to human health. Right now, the main priority must be cleaning the water and avoiding that the locals may use it.
As a research team, after analyzing through a scientific chemical point of view, we believe that the impact caused by the oil spill on the San Juan River caused by Pemex is a violation against the rights of the communities of Cadereyta Jimenez Nuevo León. The state must guarantee this right in an equitable and sustainable manner and establish the participation of the Federation, the states, and the citizens in order to achieve it. Likewise, governments are urged internationally by different important organizations like the United Nations that are constantly trying to ensure that all individuals have the basic rights, and that includes clean water at any moment. Since the refinery has not only caused pollution of the water and the environment in that area, but they have also been irresponsible by trying to cover up the problem instead of looking for a solution. As it was not until the inhabitants of Cadereyta noticed the damage when they asked us to carry out the necessary studies in order to evaluate the operation of the refinery and determine the impact caused by the oil spill.